Hey, Adrian. Hopefully that's the name. There's a couple on different ones on Etsy, but that's the one I have. Um, so this is the video for your Radiant Red helmet. Going to be a few more things that I normally have to cover in this video, but I'll try and get through them as quickly as possible. But as you can see here, the helmet came out really well. I mean, the gloss look to it, the painting came out great. And something else here that I'll get into in a minute with the magnet stuff, but if you take a look here, there you go. So you got those LED eyes built into there. Thankfully, these ones, I didn't even know this, came in and they're a little longer than the normal ones I install in helmets, which is good because these eye slots, I was a little worried I was gonna have to cut and paste some other ones in, but they cover the full thing, which is great. So those look good. I'm going to turn these off for the rest of the video, but just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Now, for the specific helmet, typically I'm a little worried about people being able to fit their head directly in here, so I'll split the back open and do some magnet stuff. Now, in the past, I've had trouble with, magnets on both sides, lining them up perfectly, and sometimes there's a bit of an offset to the helmet. Now, the customer never really minds because it's usually very small, but I've got a new system here. You can actually see the remnants of that on the side here where did things based on some measurements and other things. And this actually, you can see, came out much better. I mean, it almost perfectly aligns there, which I'm really happy with. Definitely gonna be using that going forward when possible. It was easy for this one because there's a big flat surface, but yeah, that really worked out really well. Great combination line there. Very flush fitted. So a few things about the helmet. First of all, normally I would attach this battery thing in here, but because the scaling on this one is so specific and strange, and again, I think this one's for your girlfriend, I don't have their head here to test those things. So I left it currently attached with tape for shipping, but there is a Velcro bit attached to it with the other side that already has adhesive on it. So if the scaling worked out and she can pop this thing on, just look for anywhere with extra space, peel that off, and you can stick that battery pack anywhere you want to put it in here, anywhere there's extra space. Should be able to reach all the way to the back or the front based on the length of the wires. Didn't have to do any soldering with them as well, which is great. So the connections are really tight. Now the thing I had talked to you about, first of all, if you see here, helmet separates, so you can lift this up. There's some elastic in there holding that, so the pieces don't get lost or separated or anything. You just take that and you'd slip your head or her head right in there, and then you have magnets on both sides, like I was talking about, that are lined up incredibly well compared to some of my past projects. And you would just put that on there and then boom, holds really tight. You can see, I mean, even if I'm pushing on it, it doesn't come right off. So during a convention, whatever you guys are going to, this thing will stay completely on there. Nice and tight fitted, keeps the scaling correct. And you got this line here, but I don't think anyone's going to be noticing that with how good this helmet looks. So I had mentioned this to you that the scaling, especially you can see in here, the discs on the sides protrude a little bit into the inside because otherwise there would be sort of issues with how the geometry of the models combine. So I did scale it, like with this involved, to ahead of the dimensions that you gave me. I mean, it might press on the ears a little bit. The model has the ears stick out when I scale, but I sort of push it in a little bit on those because your ears are, bendable. So the model usually compresses a little on there. All the ones I've made for myself that are on the listings do the same thing to give that nice tight fit. But like I said, if there is an issue with the scaling, and that's why I'm sending this one before completing the other ones, I actually have most of the black one, I think it was so far, which is quite large with the dimensions you sent me, already printed, or at least half of it. But I don't want to, waste plastic or print the rest if it's not going to work out with the way I'd scaled them. Hasn't been a problem in the past. I've never had an issue with that. But again, you know, I don't have anyone that has that specific dimension of head for me to test this on. And mine is larger than this one is. So I just want to make sure, and I really hope that it works out, because again, this thing came out beautifully, that the scaling works correctly. So if, you know, if this does not fit, there's a couple things. So first of all, if you do have like a palm sander or something like that, you could just sand down these inner discs that are on both sides. It won't affect the integrity of the model at all if you just lower those. And I've included these skinny cutouts, these discs. So, you know, since it separates, you'd put one on each side. And you could do that if somehow this is actually large on both sides, you could do that. I doubt that's the case, but you know, if you do sand that down, it sort of exposes the infill pattern of sort of a grid. You could put these on top so it's not irritating or anything like that. But if you don't have that, or you just don't want to deal with it, let me know, and you can keep this thing as a display piece if you'd like. Just send me back, and I hot glued these in here, so they'll hold for anything that you're doing. But if you do need to send it back, it should be super easy to yank these things out. Just ship those back to me. Let me know what the issue was, how tight it was, anything like that. And you know, it's not your fault. So at the end of the day, free of charge, I will rescale with added space and make you a whole new one of these. I would hate to, you know, have this thing go to waste, because again, it came out so well, but that's the reality of the situation. So if it doesn't work out, it's just, you know, if she cannot get her head in there, let me know. And if you don't want to go through any effort to get rid of these things, if you don't have a palm sander or anything like that, just let me know. I'll work with you. It's no problem. Just send me back these electric eyes. I'll print you a new one, do it on a rush job, get that thing done as quickly as possible, and send you back this version, as well as take that into account for how I scale the other two. So I'll scale those with a little bit of extra space, know how to handle that. But yeah, that's really all to cover for that one. So show you again with this, with the eyes on, you turn, there's this, you know, the switch is on the battery pack. So wherever you put that, I recommend having the switch facing out. Velcro is put on the battery release thing. So if you just, no matter where you attach it, all you'd have to do is slide the pack downward and the cover would stay attached, but you'd be able to replace the batteries. And I will include the batteries that are in here right now with this. But for the helmet, when you're doing the padding that I include, so I already told you I have these really thin disc ones, because again, I'd be very surprised if there was extra space on there. And if there's just enough, you still might be able to get these things. They're quite small. You might be able to get them in there just for comfort. But I've also include a skinnier version of all these pieces, just in case you want to make small adjustments. But I'm just going to go with the thicker ones for now to show you. You can stack these also together if you need to create, you know, more foaming space. But moving forward, assuming the helmet fits, you would put the thing on, have her shake her head around, see where there's some extra space, take it off, put a layer of this in. You could use any glue that you have. They'll hold in pretty well. I use this Sciafix stuff from Amazon. Dries pretty quick, holds really strong. But hot glue, normal glue, whatever you got to use. These things right here, you can see on the back where that elastic is. So on the front, on this side of the helmet, this will slot right between those elastic things and give sort of a top of the head coverage with the length of it. So I've got two of those in there, and I'm including, you know, these things, the lower amount of them, because I really don't think there's going to be too much extra space to cover. But you got those ones there, skinny ones, like I said, to do that as well. And then different lengths of these rectangular bits. This one I got 3 of that you can stack here, or put in different places if you'd like. And then, 4 of those. And then 2 of these sort of mid-sized rectangular pieces. And then, particularly for the back, the pieces that hugs right against the back of the head, normally you could use one of those little ones on the higher part, but if you put one of these long rectangles right along the bottom of the head on that back piece, right under where your head starts to dip in, should hold in real tight. And I'm including 6 of these things, so you can stack them if there's extra space back there to cover that. You could even, use some scissors, cut these up, put them wherever you want. But trying to include as much as possible, praying that this thing, that the scaling worked out well and that she'll be able to get her head into this no problem. And that anywhere there's extra space, I'm giving you 3 different lengths of these rectangular pieces that you can use. You can cut them up however you want. Anywhere there's little bits of space you might want to fill in. And then, of course, the one full circle, like for the side circle things, but separate by the pieces that come apart for each side of the head. And I will get this shipped out to you either this evening or tomorrow night. Try and do a quicker shipping if possible, if that's financially feasible. And you can let me know how the scaling goes. If it does not, if she's unable to get her head in, please let me know how much space there is, how much it seems. Maybe send me photos, anything you can do to help, and I'll get a new one out to you as soon as possible. Thanks, man.